Trick-or-treating is kid stuff. I don't even read the comics anymore. Get this. The Dow Jones is down 50 points, but the NASDAQ is making a big comeback.
What's that mean, yo?
I have no idea.
Where's Scar?
I think he had to go poo-poo.
Scary.
All right, I'm here, and I'll do anything to get out of Underfist. Even if it means treachery!
You, my friend, don't know the first thing about treachery.
Trick or treat! I told you! Dracula ain't eat your cat! Wait a minute. Why aren't you dressed like Dracula no more? Dracula ain't good enough for you?
It's not that. It's just that I don't want to be a vampire.
Kid, you need to get yourself some vampire pride. Ain't nobody gonna take you seriously till you turn into a half-bat creature and terrorize a small European village. You gotta accept what you are, kid, but find your own groove. Be who you wanna be. I mean, unless it's something really weird.
Thanks, Grandpa. But about the trick-or-treating?
Oh, nah. Dracula already gave you cash money. The rest of y'all too old to be trick-or-treating. I knew this tricky-treating was a waste of time.
Well, what do we do now, yo?
We aren't doing anything. All you monsters and one-eyed weirdos can do whatever your sick little hearts desire. But Hostile Gatto's gonna do what Hostile Gatto does best. He's gonna blast every monster he sees, and he's gonna do it alone. But you freaks don't need to worry. I'll save you for last.
But what about Underfist?
There is no Underfist.
Haas is right. This trick-or-treating thing is for babies. I'm not a baby. I'm all grown up.
I want to play trick-or-treat.
I have to go wash my hair.
No.
Good evening, sir. Looser, to be exact.
Look, I'm a busy reaper. What do you want?
Oh, I'm just a pretty princess handing out caramel apples. Would you like a caramel apple? Perhaps the president would like a caramel apple.
A caramel apple? Oh, I don't know. She might choke on it. I'm looking for more of a sure thing. Tell you what, you got two, man?
Abracadabra.
Deal. Thank you, little princess.
No, thank you, chum.
Get off my porch, you little weirdo. Shoo!
No! Fred Burger, no! Captain Manley, no! No! No!
Yeah, it's been a pretty whack Halloween, yo.
Do you want to play?
Yeah, I don't feel like playing.
That's what's wrong! Nobody wants to play! No!
Oh, wait! Don't cry! Here, I'll bet Haas has something in his footlocker we can play with. Let's see, how about... Haas's old hand, or...
Shall I tell your future?
What do you want to play? Hey, where'd you get that?
I like caramel apples!
Don't eat that, Fred!
When this candy apple turns rotten, so will your soul, and you will be a monster forever.
I don't like caramel apples!
One of those crazy gems. It is rotten. It's a trap, yo! Jeff! I think Mindy's smuggling these supernatural gems into different places using caramel and...
What are you wearing?
Huh? Oh, these old things? These are, adult diapers, because I'm an adult. an adult with really cool hair?
Congratulations. But Mindy's trying to take over the world for reals this time by hiding these vortex gems inside caramel apples.
Caramel apples? Of course. Nobody eats caramel apples. They're too sticky and gross.
We should tell an adult.
I'm an adult.
No, we've got to find Haas.
Hey, mister, what you doing?
I'm on a bloodthirsty quest of destruction, little paper boy.
Well, maybe a caramel apple will give you the extra vitamins you need to crush the skulls of your mighty foes.
They do say an apple a day keeps the monsters away. Thanks, Johnny Appleseed.
Well, was that the last of the caramel apples?
Mission accomplished, Bun Bun. I gave away every last one.
Just in time, too. Your magic costume's wearing off.
Crummy nose. But soon I won't need a costume.
That's right. Now that we have a caramel apple in the heart of every human camp, we can truly begin the invasion. Let's kick this pig. It's time to activate the focusing gems.
La cucaracha! La cucaracha! I really want to eat some nacha! La cucaracha! La cucaracha! I love you and I love to watch movies about robots! Yes.
Haas is down there. I've got to help him.
Erwin, wait! Don't forget the underwear I knitted for you. Kids today.
Not even your mama's gonna think you're sweet when I'm done with you.
Haas, I'm here to help.
I don't need your help, monster. My ginger locks!
Hey, you boys play nice.
Hey, let go! Now that's what I call Swiss chocolate. Whoops. I told you I didn't want your stinking help. Get him!
Wait! Allow these losers to destroy each other!
Erwin! Haas! Fighting is wrong!
If you really want to beat something up, do the spider and the weird green duck!
Get the spider and the dog!
This isn't fun! I thought Halloween was supposed to be fun!
I know. I thought growing up was gonna be fun, but it turns out all grown-ups do is worry and fight. I don't want to fight.
You want to play instead?
Well, okay, I guess. What do you want to play?
Well, what do you like to play?
I like to play lawn darts.
I like to play ping pong.
I ride in shopping carts.
And I like to sing songs.
I dabble in fine arts.
I bottle my parts.
I don't wanna grow up. There were so many silly things we liked to do.
Yes.
But we started growing up and now they're through.
Yes.
Being responsible's hard to do.
Yes.
I liked it more when it was just me and you.
Yes.
But what can you do?
I can put 2 fingers in my belly button, but I still can't get the golf ball out.
Soon I'll be 38.
And I'll lose my hair.
I'll get a job I hate.
I'll dress just like a bear.
I'll put on lots of weight.
And I'll never get a date.
I don't wanna grow up. There were so many silly things we liked to do.
Yes.
But we started growing up and now they're through.
Yes.
I used to be little, but then I grew.
Yes.
I'm cracking from the pressure of being in this crew.
Yes.
But what can you do?
Hey, why don't we just not grow up?
Really? Can we do that?
Yes.
Let's wear pants on our heads.
Let's wear hats on our bottoms.
Let's jump on our beds.
Don't fold clothes, just wad 'em.
Let's paint the town red.
No, let's go play instead.
I don't wanna grow up.
You don't want to grow up, eh? Well, I'll make sure you get your wish. Avocado cadaverous!
What kind of balls underneath look like that on the table? I appreciate it. I got a nice one.
All right. Now you've forced me to... You forced me to call down the thunder. Need a hand? Hand.
Wow, I wish I'd known there was a drill in there earlier.
That's what I call disarmed, yo! Nice one, hey!
Erwin, move! Piso Mahado, dirtbag.
Oh, they didn't have to do it.
Yeah, he's so good, but so evil.
We're just looking.
Hey, kid. I'm sorry. It's just, when I was a kid like you, every night when I went to sleep, a monster would come out of my closet. I was so scared, I wet my bed every night. For the next 30 years. Ever since then, I've hated every monster I've seen. But you saved my life. I guess there are some good monsters after all.
And I guess that even though I'm becoming a monster, it doesn't mean I have to act like one, yo!
Oh, I guess even though I'm ugly, I had no right to take it out on everyone else. I've been a real witch.
And I guess that even though I'm growing up, it doesn't mean I have to be responsible.
Well, I guess... 11!
I hereby pledge to stop trying to ruin the world. From now on, I'll stick to what I'm good at. Simply ruining the social lives of nerds.
I would go so far as to call her gifted.
The whole conquering the world thing was Bun Bun's idea anyway. He told me he'd help me get revenge on Erwin for making me ugly. If I'd lure Erwin to touch a magical gem. Once Erwin touched the first gem with his mummy vampire powers, Bun Bun was able to transfer the energy to countless other gems. Then, disguised as my old beautiful self, I tried to help Bun Bun lure you into the underworld so we could get you. And, well, looking back, it does seem sort of psychotic. But I guess it's simple. I'm sorry. We'll have to do.
I ain't got
I
no
love
beef, y'all.
forgetting people.
I can't feel my legs.
I can't feel that.
I knew you were too much of a loser to see this plan through, Mindy. That's why I got myself a little insurance.
Hello, Blunderfist.
You bad bunny! You stole our one-eyed weirdo!
And you use my powers to open portals to the underworld.
Oh, I'm better than you know. It was also me who turned Mindy into a witch by putting a witch worm in her hair. There's no such thing as a mummy cootie. And then I just hair. It was also me who turned Mindy into a witch by putting a witch worm in her hair. There's no such thing as a mummy cootie. And then I just used you to get to Erwin. Oh, and I was the monster who haunted Hoss Delgado's childhood.
My bones and organs weren't crushed right now. I totally kicked your butt.
But that's
That's
not
everyone's
all.
backstory.
It was also I who made Jeff's father afraid of spiders.
No.
You beast!
No.
Fredburger! It was I who sawed off your tusks while you were sleeping. And now, I'm gonna let your own friend boil you in hot cocoa. Admiral Scar, if you would.
With great pleasure.
Mr. Scar?
Scar, what are you doing? Are we out of deal?
Tell me I don't know anything about treachery.
Hey, I'm melting, you dirty traitor! Marshmallows and cocoa don't mix! What a world! What did I ever do to any of you guys?
Oh, that's
Are
him.
you okay, Hoss?
No.
I'm a double agent. I am so getting a medal for this.
Cock-a-doodle-doo!
You're all right, honey. You're all right.
Excuse me? There is no chocolate in mine.
Congratulations on your honorable mention in the Little Miss Ensville pageant.
Come on! Don't Dracula get a medal?
We're out of medals, but I do have a special treat for you.
A penny? Dracula think pennies are the worst treat ever.
Oh, look, Ike. Some careless fool left a hole all the way down from the underworld to the surface.
That's great, Uncle Burger Snatch!
Yes, now I will finally be able to destroy the sun with my disgusting magic.
Gee, Uncle, aren't you afraid someone will try to stop you?
I have an entire legion of squid fiends at my command. Someone would have to be pretty brave or pretty stupid to try and stop me.
Or both.
When monsters come to wreck your town, and you need
Man, this is the spin-off we should have got.
and the super friends just ain't.
I never even knew.
There's things in life you just can't believe. You order up a prostitute, right?
Yeah.
This prostitute lives with his mother, by the way. He's got a massive criminal history, a 21-year criminal history with...
That's impressive. That's longer than most people have a job.
31 criminal charges. And that's what you think you're getting. Now,
No, she's...
when you look at that, you go, wow, that's pretty rough, but, you know, any port in a storm.
Who says this is the sheriff?
And then the next morning when you wake up, you find out this is who it really is.
Oh,
Yeah, we call that Coyote Ugly.
Wait, are you telling me? God damn!
He's laying on your arm. You go, it was rough last night, but I've sobered up. I think I'll just chew my arm off and ease away so I don't disturb him or wake him up. So you think you're buying this, you're getting this. He's got...
That's false advertising.
And Tavion Harrison.
No.
You order up.
No.
Real professional. $1,000
No.
for full service.
$1,000?
No condom. This person's already on felony probation.
What a surprise.
Get up and you go, hey. Next morning, you wake up, and there he is. At this point in time, you call your brother. You say, do I have a surprise for you? And then there is...
No, you don't have another one.
Rodrigo Molina Andres from New York. This is what you ordered. She's here illegally.
Who could have guessed?
From Venezuela, $700. She is he. This is what you wake up to. You have no idea many times when they show up what you're getting.
Gee, what the hell is going on over there? Even the illegal yeah, you've got illegal prostitutes coming in here and taking jobs away from our hardworking legal prostitutes that pretend to be women but are actually men. Yeah, like what the hell is going on?
When you look at that, you go, wow, that's pretty rough, but, you know, any port in a storm.
On March 6, 2017, a rather concerning post was uploaded to Reddit titled, "Found Cry for Help on Reddit from Thai Factory Worker." This post was referring to the comments left by a user named FujiTagaikin001 on seemingly random threads. There were 44 comments in total, with the first one appearing on r/promos on February 22nd, 2017. And with a single exception, all contained the same words. "I face too serious problem of human rights at Fuji Tagaikin, Thailand. Please help me." Searching for Fuji Tagaikin, Thailand on Google leads to a factory of the same name. And while the factory is located in Thailand, the company that oversees its operations is Japanese. So, from the looks of things, these comments were likely pleas for help from someone who had to work in horrible conditions at this factory, possibly even against their will. Which sounds a bit absurd at first, but is actually quite plausible. You see, Thailand has a major modern-day slavery problem, primarily in its fishing industry, but can also extend to other industries as well, with over 400,000 people being forced to work for little to no compensation. Additionally, Japan is also notorious for what's known as its black companies, which force employees into exploitative sweatshop-like environments with unpaid overtime and harsh working conditions. Given these issues, it's not unreasonable to imagine a Japanese worker getting stuck working at a factory in Thailand with no escape in sight, and all they were able to do is beg for help on the internet. They were likely not proficient in English, which would explain the grammar mistakes. Also, the vast majority of comments they left were on the most mainstream subreddits, like pics, GIFs, space, gaming, and some others, suggesting they likely weren't familiar with Reddit either and might have just clicked on the top subreddits they came across and commented on the first post they saw. However, this is where this theory starts breaking down. Because despite many people offering advice and trying to help, Fuji Tagaikin001 never responded, neither in the comments nor in DMs. This led many to believe that these comments were nothing more than spam from a bot, which obviously isn't an uncommon sight on social platforms like Reddit. However, many argue that explanation doesn't hold much weight here, mainly because in one instance, Fuji Tagaikin001 posted the comment twice on the same thread, something they hadn't done in any post before or since. A bot would almost never make such a mistake, suggesting it might have been human error. On top of that, while 44 comments are a lot for a person, they are a tiny amount for spam bots that can post hundreds, if not thousands of comments in a matter of seconds. Not to mention the fact that Fuji Tagaikin001's comments were posted over the span of 4 days, with seemingly random intervals between each comment. Put simply, these comments were almost certainly posted by a person. So, what's really going on here? Were these comments really cries for help from someone stuck in an unfortunate exploitative situation? Well, it's hard to say. From what I was able to find on Fuji Tagaiken, there doesn't seem to be any indications of shady activity going on behind the scenes. After Fuji Tagaiken 001's story caught some attention, several people reported the company to organizations like Amnesty International. But the company is still operational to this day, and I didn't find any news coverage of anything bad being discovered at their factory in Thailand. It does have a few dozen negative reviews on Google, but almost all of them were posted after Fuji Tagaiken 001's comment became popular on Reddit. One possible theory is that these comments were posted by a troll or a competitor with the express goal of tarnishing Fuji Tagaiken's reputation. However, there's currently no evidence that supports or contradicts this theory. The most likely explanation that I was able to come up with stems from the only comment Fuji Tagaiken 001 made that strayed from the usual pattern. Translated into English, it reads, Fuji Tagaiken, I'm being subjected to power harassment in Thailand. The power harassment mentioned in this comment is a specific Japanese term used to describe workplace bullying, usually by a superior. And while it is bad, it's not as extreme as the slavery situation many on the internet assumed it to be. Here's what I believe might have happened. A Japanese employee working at Fuji Tagaiken's Thai factory was likely getting harassed by one of their superiors. Frustrated with their situation, they turned to the internet for help. But since they weren't fluent in English, they used a tool like Google Translate, which unfortunately made their comment sound far more serious than intended. Now, this is still nothing more than an educated guess. There are still many questions that remain unanswered, like why did they choose to spam it across largely unrelated subreddits? Or why did they stop commenting after 4 days? People on Reddit also discovered another one of their accounts named help001001001 with similar comments, but that didn't provide any useful clues either, leaving the true intentions of Reddit user Fuji Tagaiken 001 a mystery to this day. On October 27, 2019, a newly created Reddit account named Snapped Fingers made a post on r/advice looking for help with his deteriorating mental condition, stating, Seeing and hearing things that aren't there. Lately I have been seeing and hearing things that aren't there even more than normal. Most of the time it's small things like seeing spiders on me in my peripheral vision only to look at them and they disappear. Other times when I'm in bed, this thing about the thickness of a big fist pops up like a big snake on the side of my bed and looks at me only to dart back down out of sight. Whenever I investigate, nothing is there. Rarely, there's full-body visual hallucinations. The last one was from a couple years ago when I was taking out the garbage. The silhouette of a child crunched down on all fours charged me only to disappear when I looked at it. And before that, there was a large, fleshy, naked, featureless figure slowly walking on all fours in the room down the hall, approximately the average size of a man. The OP then went on to describe how he'd had similar audio-visual hallucinations since he was a child, and how the situation was getting worse as of late. Unfortunately, he didn't seem to have anyone in his life he could rely on. According to the OP, his relatives dismissed his condition as something supernatural, and his friends, quote, kicked him to the curb, suggesting he might have had a falling out with them. The OP also described his reasoning for not getting a medical diagnosis, as to him it felt like the doctors were treating him like a science experiment. This post alone painted Snapped Fingers as a deeply troubled person who was likely suffering from severe schizophrenia and possibly other mental illnesses as well. However, this was just the beginning of the deeply disturbing spiral he would eventually descend into. Starting from his very next post on r/confessions titled, Saw someone get run over by a train and didn't feel anything. Things drifted from mental hallucinations to physical harm from that point on, with Snapped Fingers asking, if I bite off my own finger, could it be reattached or attached somewhere else? The OP also shared a story of a painful experience he had to go through because of his condition, reading, in 2008 I stuck a power drill into my arm. Sometime back in 2008, I was putting together a shelf when this large black mass came out of nowhere and engulfed my unoccupied arm. I didn't see it till it was right up on me. It scared me so badly, and it was coming up from my arm for my face. So I started jamming the drill into it. On the second strike, I hit my arm and the hallucination dissipated. Concerned users once again urged the OP to seek medical help, but he declined it once again, stating that he didn't want to end up in a mental asylum or become an experiment for doctors again. However, while he rejected most of the normal advice under this post, the one comment he agreed with suggested a fairly absurd explanation for OP's situation, suggesting that maybe the OP could see into another dimension. This was odd considering his earlier reservations about the clearly untrue supernatural beliefs of his relatives. But for some unknown reason, this one comment struck a chord with him, resulting in him spiraling out of control and eventually adopting the belief that his hallucinations were caused by some interdimensional beings. Much of this new belief was fueled by equally mentally ill or outright delusional individuals he befriended on platforms like Discord. But in Snapped Fingers' broken, mentally ill mind, he'd finally found the truth. So he began inquiring about how to deal with these so-called interdimensional beings, what was the best way to banish them, and what he had to sacrifice to make these beings leave him alone. Now, it's unclear if people giving him these ideas genuinely believed what they were saying, or if they were just trolls who were taking advantage of OP's mental illness to see how far they could push him. Regardless of their intentions, however, the end result was the spiraling of a vulnerable young man who now believed that there were, quote, interdimensional hell portals in the Paris catacombs, and that his duty was to close said portals. He even started denying having schizophrenia in favor of this false belief. To make matters worse, Snapped Fingers actually ended up traveling to Paris in May of 2020 to achieve his newfound goal, and apparently stole a car to do so. On the 5th of May, he made one final post before entering the catacombs, stating, "We'll be entering the catacombs in a few hours-ish." Before, someone had asked about a time frame for when I'll post an update, and while I don't know how big the catacombs are, my guess is maybe a day or two before my return with videos. I've taken some test footage while I was held up inside a dumpster the other night, and the quality honestly isn't that great, but it's alright. To make up for the quality of the video, I will take more footage while I'm down there. However, the update never came, leading many to believe that the OP had likely gotten lost and passed away from exhaustion or dehydration inside the catacombs. For those who don't know, the Paris catacombs stretch over 186 miles, or 300 kilometers, most of which is completely unexplored. Entering these unknown sections is pretty much a death sentence for even experts on the location, let alone a complete rookie like the OP. But to everyone's surprise, Snapped Fingers actually made a comeback almost 2 years later in May of 2022. It seemed he somehow successfully found his way into the catacombs, explored them for a while, and then managed to find his way back. He made a post admitting that there were no portals or anything of that nature in there, followed by a final post meant to give everyone invested in his story some closure. And while he didn't go into details of what happened after he entered the catacombs, he did seem to be on the right path, stating, "Without going into much detail, I am not dead, and even though things are not perfect, I am always improving despite minor hiccups here and there. But as I said before, I intend to distance myself from this and will take the necessary steps to achieve that in order to return to normality." His account, which is now deleted, stood as a disturbing showcase of the delusions of a mentally ill man that almost led him to his own death in the Paris catacombs. Hopefully he was able to get the help he needed and is doing much better in life.
At Bale Chevrolet, we know that football season is about the energy, the excitement, the team.
April Bever was a 45-year-old woman who lived in the city of Broken Arrow, Oklahoma with her husband, 45-year-old David Bever, and their 7 children. April was the primary caretaker of her family, as well as the teacher for her homeschooled children. In addition to this, she also liked browsing Reddit, where she went by the name of Aoki Mom. Given her otherwise busy lifestyle, Reddit was one place where she could talk to other like-minded people and make new connections, though many of her posts revolved around the love she had for her children. On a post discussing the financial benefits of not having any kids, April wrote, "I have 7 children and we have always lived on one income and have never had any government assistance or needed it. We have a 4,700 square foot house, 2 newer cars, and my kids do not do without. There are childless people that do not have this. Life is about making good job or income choices and then making the best money choices based on your income. I would never give up having any of my children so I could have more money. They are amazing people and the world would benefit by having them in it. And nothing I could buy or invest in could compare to giving a person a chance to have a life." Put simply, there was nothing April treasured more than her family. Sadly, her time with this family was cut short in 2015, in what would later be remembered as one of the greatest tragedies of Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. On July 22nd, 2015, the Broken Arrow Police Department received a 911 call from 12-year-old Daniel Bever, April and David's 3rd son.
Broken Arrow 911. Hello? Help. Hi, where are you at?
Bacon out, Oklahoma 7411.
What address?
709 Lake Hole.
Okay. Are you the only one there?
No, my brother's attacking my family.
Your dad is attacking your family?
No, my brother.
The call ended shortly after, and any subsequent attempts from the police to contact the family were unsuccessful. Officers rushed to the scene as quickly as they could. When they reached the Bever house, the front door was locked, so they forced their way in. However, nothing could have prepared them for the massacre they were about to witness on the other side of that door. The first person officers found was 13-year-old Crystal, lying in the hallway in a pool of her own blood. She'd been stabbed multiple times, including a slash across her throat. Despite her injuries, however, she was conscious and managed to tell the officers that her two older brothers, 18-year-old Robert and 16-year-old Michael, were the ones responsible for everything. Further inside the home, officers found the remains of the rest of the family, all with dozens of stab wounds. April was in especially rough shape, with a later autopsy report confirming over 48 wounds on her body. The only one left unharmed was the youngest, 2-year-old Anna. However, Robert and Michael were nowhere to be seen. Fortunately, investigators were quick to determine that they might have escaped from the back door, and it wasn't long before the two were located and subsequently arrested, hiding in the woods behind their home. When asked about it, Robert said that he was proud of what he had done. Later interrogation also revealed their motive, which boiled down to imitating the actions of other mass murderers they had read about on the internet. They wanted to start with their own family and then leave a trail of blood across many states. Fortunately, they were caught before they could execute this plan completely. They stood trial multiple times over the next few years and were found guilty on the charges filed against them. Michael was sentenced to 5 consecutive life sentences, while Robert was given 9 for being the primary mastermind behind the crime. Aoki Mom's Reddit account and subsequent posts are now left abandoned, seen in a much experience diagnosed by an element. Life After Lyme made a post in the Lyme disease subreddit recounting her terrible experience with the ailment, writing, "Lyme disease has ruined my life. I was diagnosed by an LLMD last year with congenital Lyme disease, as well as several co-infections after several years of suffering with horrible brain fog, depression, vision problems, and memory loss. I was so happy to finally get a diagnosis. Since then, I have been getting treated, but I have not gotten any better at all. I am a single working mother, and between visits to my LLMD and the formulas I buy from her and paying for things for my child, I am struggling to stay afloat. I do not have health insurance, and it's getting to the point where I'm looking into food stamps. My LLMD tells me that I will get worse if I stop the treatments now because the bacteria are smart. There are no other LLMDs in my area, so I can't go for a second opinion, and it's useless to go to a traditional doctor where I'll just be laughed at. I feel like I've tried everything and nothing has worked. I've even begun to see signs of congenital Lyme disease in my 5-year-old daughter. The hostility, the impulsiveness, the inability to concentrate. I simply can't afford to get her treated for Lyme. I've even asked myself if I should give her up for adoption and if I'm fit to be a mother with my mind the way it is. I just don't know what to do. Lyme disease has ruined my life. It ended my first marriage and estranged me from my ex. I guess my main question is, where do I go from here? What do I do if I'm not getting better? How could I pay for treatment without going broke and having to apply for food stamps? And if all this wasn't bad enough, in a comment under this post, she also revealed that her LLMD was also strictly against antibiotics and only prescribed herbal formulas. Not only were these expensive herbal treatments largely ineffective in treating the core issue, they were actively harming her, with one of these prescriptions causing hallucinations and psychosis, as well as physical symptoms like an upset stomach. From what she revealed in this post, OP's life seemed truly hopeless. However, something about her story didn't feel right. The symptoms she described weren't in line with the most common symptoms of Lyme disease. More importantly, she herself admitted that all of her Lyme disease tests were actually negative, and that her entire diagnosis, and by extension treatment, was based on a single test that came back inconclusive. Either her LLMD was taking advantage of her, or she was lying about her life to gain sympathy from other Redditors. In either case, something was very wrong. Despite the growing skepticism, however, Is There Life After Lyme kept posting about Lyme disease and other related subjects. But then, in September 21st, she made a post that shed further light on her condition, more specifically how it related to a deteriorating mental state. In it, she recounted a psychotic episode she experienced at the grocery store earlier that week, where voices were screaming at her to buy specific things or they would hurt her. Most users who saw the post urged her to seek professional help, which would have likely helped her get her life in order. Surprisingly, she agreed with these suggestions, promised to admit herself into a psych ward, and stopped posting entirely. Unfortunately, by the time she returned in 2016, her mental state had somehow gotten significantly worse. She started rambling about random conspiracy theories relating to everything from the child-free subreddit to the Pizzagate conspiracy and how it all relates to Lyme disease. Is There Life After Lyme had officially gone off the deep end, and her situation was getting worse with each passing day. By 2018, her posts had become completely unreadable. These nonsensical posts were occasionally interrupted by her disturbing cries for help as well, but she didn't respond coherently to anyone who reached out to her, which was extremely concerning for many. This went on till February 2019, after which she completely disappeared from the internet, leaving many to wonder what actually happened to her. However, some Reddit users weren't concerned at all, since in their eyes, the entire Is There Life After Lyme account was nothing more than a clever hoax. And it's easy to see why. There were quite a few inconsistencies in her posting habits that hinted at the whole thing being fake. For instance, if she'd truly become incapable of stringing together a single coherent sentence, how was she able to operate a computer or phone enough to make these posts in the first place? Additionally, she also started making parts of her posts in other languages. But when people translated these other languages, they were generally written without any errors, even though the English portion of the same post was completely incomprehensible. However, before people were able to reach a conclusion about whether it was all real or not, someone claiming to be her sister logged into her account and told others she'd been hospitalized after an incident. If we assume the whole thing was fake from the start, it's possible the person behind the account noticed the skepticism and introduced the sister character to wrap up the story. On the other hand, if everything about Is There Life After Lyme was genuine, this remains as one of the most haunting cases of mental deterioration archived on the internet.
Where's Miss Rachel?
From first sips to growing gobs, look, Ms. Rachel Learner Cups are made for every stage of natural development. Spill-proof, easy to hold, supporting their first sips at every stage.
Every day, we strive to make an impact, no matter how great or how small. Go beyond.
Needs $700,000. On November 6, 2015, a Reddit user named Bangarang made a deeply concerning and odd post on the site reading, "Needs $700,000. What do I do? I need it by January 2016 or I'm dead from the mob. What are my options though?" Now, if this was posted in subreddits like r/advice or r/helpme, people would have taken it more seriously. However, for whatever reason, Bangarang decided to post this plea for help in r/sadboys. This is a subreddit for the fans of the Sad Boys music collective that emerged in the early 2010s, primarily associated with Swedish rapper Young Lean and his music group Sad Boys. So, a completely unrelated post like this left most people confused about what it meant. Not sure if this is real. So confused. What is this? Some users wondered if this was some obscure reference to Sad Boys music. Is this a reference to Lean being worth $700,000? However, most users quickly realized that Bangarang was serious when he began responding to some of the less serious joke comments with sincere replies. "Let me ghostwrite your next mixtape. I need all the help I can get." But that's when the post took a disturbing turn. One user jokingly told the OP to end it by jumping off a bridge and shoot himself while falling. However, instead of getting offended, Bangarang replied with something that made everything way more unsettling. "Think they'll get to me before I can make any moves." Alongside this, he posted a link to an eerie photo. A group of men standing in the middle of a street with multiple cars lined up behind them. The way the photo was framed suggested that OP took it while hiding in the bushes, as if he was watching from a distance, afraid to be seen. At this point, people wanted answers. And after some back and forth in another thread, Bangarang finally explained what had gotten him into this situation. "Was involved in a fight where an 18-year-old kid was killed. I was on drugs and had a bad temper. I was always protective of my friends, especially John. John was in a band and was taking off. He had a Facebook page, so he deactivated it. He made a new one. One of his friends that made a new one got real mad that he deleted the old page and thought he didn't want anything to do with her or his old friends because of the new fame and band. John tried to explain to her that wasn't the case. When he tried to, I peered over John's shoulder, read their texts, and got heated. I started trash-talking the girl. She got her boyfriend's friends to meet me and my friends out in the desert for a brawl. One of the guys there was with the gang members' guys group and pulled out a gun to shoot me and my friends. One of my friends grabbed the gun from him and ended up shooting the guy and killing him, the dude that pulled out the gun in the first place. Then, after the fight, I violated my probation. The cops were already after me for drug use. They found out I was involved in the fight and the shooting of the guy, and they added the battery charge. I wasn't charged with murder, but was involved in the fight, which is why they added assault and battery charges, plus the probation violation. But I continued with drug use and violated my probation. Now I'm sobered up. I just turned 23, and I'm in a real bad place with some people from the past. While these responses provided some important context for OP's situation, it still didn't explain why the mob was after him now, or how having $700,000 would help him stay alive. By this point, people had stopped joking. It was clear that this was most likely real. One user finally spoke up, saying what everyone else was thinking. First of all, why are you posting this here? Second, run, get out of town. To which OP replied, I got no one. After learning about his sheer helplessness, user PizzaMan2345 chimed in with some detailed and practical advice to help Bangarang escape with his life. Get yourself into jail and tell them to safely escort you to an airport afterwards. If you warn them about the mob and spread the word, the police will look stupid if you die soon afterwards. Then, if you do get to the airport, take several planes to several places and settle down somewhere far away. No matter how uncaring a police department is, they should listen to your plea for help. It might also help if you have a writer friend who can tell the whole story if they don't escort you. Let the police know, as a last resort, that they will be flamed online for not dealing with the mob themselves and for letting you loose, only for you to die right after. This, of course, involves you being in jail for a while, which, if not the case, leads me to say that you should simply leave the country now. Use your head. Don't drug your problems away. Either work hard and loan the rest, or just run. Unfortunately, we'll never know if this advice helped him or not. A day after making the original post, Bangarang stopped replying to any more comments, and hasn't posted anything on Reddit since.
My work is easy because I use ClickUp. Here's how I keep track of all my tasks. I start by brain dumping everything I need to get done in a list view. Next, I set a priority and a due date to keep things on track. I create custom statuses to organize my progress exactly how I want it. I like to add the action items field so AI can show me the next steps. I have my teammates as watchers so they're in the loop. ClickUp makes work easy, from personal projects to running a multi-billion-dollar company. Click the link below to create your workspace for free.
If you want to see it all, you need a car that can go the distance. The Subaru Forester Hybrid.
As for if this story was legit or not, we have no way of knowing for sure. The Bangarang account was likely a throwaway since it was created the same day as the post. I also tried reverse image searching the picture he posted, and while there are many similar looking images online, I couldn't find anything that matches the OP picture to a T and predated the Reddit thread. And since Bangarang didn't provide any clues about his location, I couldn't find any relevant news articles from that time either. Most users under the original thread believe the OP was likely caught and killed by the mob. However, it's been over 9 years since the original post with no updates since, and I doubt we'll ever learn the truth. Dog Operation. On the 31st of March, Reddit user City, State posted a disturbing entry on the Reddit Bureau of Investigation subreddit. The title of the entry was, "What could have been the reason why someone operated on my dog?" It read, "I originally posted this to another sub, now deleted, and was insisted that I repost this here instead. I live alone in a suburban area, and when I go out, whether it's for work, social gatherings, shopping, or whatever, I leave my dog. He's a Labrador to play in my backyard with plenty of food and water. He's a pretty healthy dog, normal weight, and had nothing wrong with him. I would say I live in a pretty safe neighborhood and never had anything bad happen to my dog while I was away. Yesterday, I came back home from work in shock to see that my dog had been stitched up. In shock, I immediately rushed to him, called and took him to a vet. I visit the vet for checkups, so the vet knows him. Strangely, the doctor who was inspecting him said that whoever was operating on him actually did a pretty good job, and for whatever reason took out part of his fat. The wounds are of both his lower and upper belly, pictures here. Luckily, he isn't in any danger, but the doctor said he would be in some pain for some weeks, normal for wounds. I was prescribed painkillers and antibiotics for my dog. I was also given a cone for him to wear so he wouldn't lick his wounds. Naturally, I asked him if a Labrador came into the vet today, as in yesterday, and he and the receptionist said no, and they said to their memory it's the first time they saw my dog that day. So this got me and my doctor thinking, either someone operated on him or someone took him to another vet and got him operated for whatever reason. In the meantime, I have reported this to the police and have called other vets around my town and no luck as of yet. Due to this, I am still unsure what could have caused this. Who and why would someone take parts of fat out of my dog? I don't have any enemies nor any past relationship partners come to mind who may do this. I've also spoken to some neighbors and they said they didn't notice anything strange around the neighborhood or near my house. I also don't have any cameras. People on Reddit quickly began speculating on what could have happened. Some wondered if this was the work of a medical student looking to practice, or a budding serial killer. However, neither of these makes much sense. No sane medical student would risk ruining their career by operating on a random dog when there are safer options like ethically sourced cadavers. As for the potential serial killer theory, why would they cut open a dog only to stitch it back and return it to the owner instead of just disposing of the body? But there were some more reasonable theories as well, stating that the dog must have injured its stomach while jumping over the fence. Someone then saw the wounded dog and took it to the vet for treatment before leaving it back in OP's yard. Or maybe the dog successfully jumped over the fence only to get hit by a car, and the person driving the car took it to the vet and dropped it off after the operation. However, a major flaw in both theories is why the person who took it to the vet didn't leave a note explaining the situation. If it was an accident, maybe the person didn't want to get in trouble. But even then, leaving an anonymous note would have been the right thing to do. Some users also consider the possibility that someone might have shot the dog with a pellet gun, either by accident or on purpose. A comment from user Banana Phone quickly rose to the top as it offered a more plausible explanation for what might have happened during the OP's absence. That rubber thing sticking out appears to be a Penrose's drain, which is most commonly used to allow a wound to weep and drain through the hole where it comes out of the skin.
I got up and
went
down.
Closing into a pocket and turning into a huge infected abscess, which requires secondary treatment and antibiotics. This is most commonly seen in my personal and professional experience after bites from another animal, as the bacteria in dog/cat mouths can be difficult to totally disinfect after the fact and often leads to abscesses. While the general consensus is that dog mouths are cleaner than cats, there's still plenty of bacteria in your average dog's mouth that could lead to infection. That drain will need to be removed in a few days to a week after the risk of infection is passed. My guess would be, with the size of the incision, another dog got into a fight with yours, whether it jumped the fence into your backyard and picked the fight itself, or somehow your dog was accidentally able to be out of his fence, and the owner felt guilty but did not want to get sued or put their dog down. I double this hypothesis because if they put him back, they knew where he lives, and that means he was probably inside the fence when the incident occurred, and hiding the conflict probably means his dog has a history of aggression, to the point where it jumped your fence and attacked. I suspect a pellet/gunshot less because anyone who would shoot a dog in its own yard is probably not going to have the moral compass to get it treated. Another user, Decent Writer, also backed this theory with a personal anecdote reading, I'm almost 100% sure someone who has a dog with a bite history attacked your dog and they did not want to get caught. I have a dog with a bite history. If he bit someone or an animal a second time, it would be disastrous, and myself and my partner would both be in jail. They likely got off with a small charge the first time and are on probation, already paying out a ton of money to whoever was the first victim and cannot risk a second person suing them. We've been going through the process for our one dog bite for over 2 years. It has been miserable every single step of the way, and I'm sure that's what has happened here. I'm sorry, it sucks so much. Hopefully they feel guilty and come forward to you one day, in which case you have 2 years from the day of the incident to sue them in a civil court case. I know this because I'm on the other side of that civil lawsuit as we speak.
Whether you're a professional technician or simply take pride in maintaining your own cars, Harbor Freight offers quality auto tools to meet your every need at prices that can't be beat. From rapid pump jacks to mechanics tool sets, whatever you need, we've got it. Whatever you do it for less. Harbor Freight, your automotive destination.
God damn. Tires are fucking rolling it. God damn.
That said, after further questioning from other users, the OP shared additional details about the situation, debunking many of these theories in the process. Edit. People have been asking about my fencing. I'm about 5'8", and the main fencing is taller than me. The side fence is about half my height. However, there are other properties around those fencing. So if another dog, for example, got in, I would think the neighbors would have noticed, as the other dog would have needed to go through their properties first before reaching mine. People also are asking if my dog is known for jumping over stuff. No, he's not. So that's why I don't think he hurt himself while jumping over the fence. But that doesn't mean another dog jumped over to him. One of my neighbors, right next to the one of my shorter fence, has a dog of his own. But it's a small poodle, and I don't think they could have done that to a Labrador. Plus, neither of them has shown aggression to each other, from what I've seen. They usually don't even pay each other's mind. No other organs are missing, according to the vet, just the fat removal. It was not a car crash. He has no bones broken, bruises, or anything like that. There was blood, but only around him, a normal amount, not anything crazy. So either someone did it and cleaned it, or it was done elsewhere. The picture was taken the day after the vet, the day I made this post, after they examined and gave him a proper clean around the wounds. At least one of my neighbors in the surrounding fencing has a camera, to my knowledge. The footage has been examined by the police and myself, and we couldn't see anything out of the ordinary. The police said they will be going around to see for any other footage. However, with this additional information, the OP mentioned something that made many people question whether any of this was real to begin with. They mentioned that they were gone out for work from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. for 5 hours, which is not typically enough time for someone to take their dog to a vet, get a complete surgery, and drop it back without getting caught. As one user pointed out, this whole thing strikes me as suspicious. I've worked in both private practice and ER. OP said they were gone for 5 hours. Even if it happened right when they left, 5 hours is a really short amount of time for this size of wound repair when you factor in anesthesia, sedation, clipping, cleaning. Sometimes takes longer than the actual suturing to remove hair, debris, dirt, etc. Then flushing and cleaning the wounds, cutting the skin to remove sections that wouldn't heal well, then actually suturing it, including drains, post-anesthesia/sedation recovery. White dogs plus a bunch of blood requires a bath to remove all the blood. Not to mention the time it takes to get the dog there, check the dog in, get consent for treatment, discharging and explaining meds, paying for it, getting the dog back to OP's yard. But this makes me wonder if it could have been done in this time frame if the surgery wasn't done in a professional veterinary hospital. Maybe the person involved in the incident had a surgical background and did everything themselves off the books. However, this is all speculation, and unfortunately not long after this update, the OP deleted their account and didn't post any new updates on what happened. But before that, the OP did make a post stating that the police were investigating this as a criminal case. However, given their complete silence over the past 4 years, it's unlikely we'll learn if anything ever came of that. Fraudulent nurse. On January 16th, 2021, user Pagan Princess 22 made a Reddit post recounting her strangely terrifying experience at a hospital. The post read, "A woman posing as a nurse stole my blood from an Indiana, USA emergency room in 1996 or 1997 when I was 5 or 6 years old. Hello everyone, I'm not sure if this is the correct place, so please feel free to direct me to a better subreddit if there is one. I flared it as a cold case because it happened 23 years ago, but there were no charges filed, to my recollection, and I don't remember a case being made from it. This is a strange story, and I was 5, maybe 6 when it happened, so I don't have a lot of the details. I had recently told my younger sister about this story, and she encouraged me to look into the incident more and see if I could find out either who this person was or if there was a larger pattern of behavior during the time frame. I'm interested in any information you all have to offer / can find on the matter, as I truly just want to satisfy some curiosity. I'm 99% sure any statute of limitations is up, and I'm not interested in reporting something so weird and from so long ago to the police for them to tell me there's nothing that can be done. Now onto the story. When I was around 5 or 6, I got a pretty bad nosebleed that wouldn't stop. I eventually started throwing up big spots of blood as well, and my mother took me to the ER. This would be in/around the Sunman or Indianapolis area in Indiana, USA, but I do not know the name of the hospital. At the time, beds were separated only by curtains on ceiling racks and not individual walled rooms. My mother had left my room to speak to a doctor, I think. I know she left, and a woman I did not know came in shortly after she left. She was white, had medium brown hair, and looked to be in her 20s or 30s. She was wearing a blue scrub shirt with puppy dogs on it and unmatched pants. I want to say she was not wearing scrub pants, but rather jeans or maybe sweatpants. I know they did not match her shirt, which stood out. The other nurses and doctors I saw only wore solid colored scrubs and were all matched. She said she needed to take some blood and pulled the tools to do so from her scrub pockets, not a phlebotomy card. She stuck me and started drawing blood, somewhere around 5 to 7 vials of it, but potentially more. On the last vial, we heard my mom and a doctor coming back towards the room. She hurriedly ripped the tube from my arm before the last vial was full. It spilled some blood. She did not give me a band-aid or gauze. She just left me bleeding and shoved everything back into her pocket, then ran from the room. She ran to the left, and my mom and doctor entered from the right. The doctor said a nurse would be with me soon to draw some blood and run some tests. I told him a lady had already taken my blood, and he asked what she looked like and where she went. I described her. He turned wide-eyed to my mother and said, "She doesn't work here," and ran out of the room to the left.
This isn't just a wallet, it's a rare find. There's something different about owning something almost
fucking
nobody
see this
else
goddamn
has.
penguin.
That's